Hey there, Rappies! Rapper9198 here, and welcome to another edition of Ryan's Day Reading. Today I'll be reading the 17th and final chapter of Imprints, titled Make Something New. Alright, so again, to start off again, a little recap from the previous chapter. It really, Broken and Beautiful, it's really talking about how every one of us is broken in some way, whether it be either emotional, spiritual, or physical. And really, it's within the brokenness where the true beauty shines. And that because the image God created us in, His own, shines brightly when we love as He does. And because we are all broken in our different ways, but when we come together to carry each other, we are beautiful. And that's the greatest beauty we can ever experience, is only made real through our brokenness. And because I really love how it's talking. Yeah, it is broken, but that's where it really is beautiful. It's like, saying that what may seem like a bad thing is actually what may seem like a curse is actually a blessing in disguise. Yep. So all right, so here we go with chapter 17, Make Something New. And this is, all right, and then a quote from Desmond Tutu. Forgiveness says you are given another chance to make a new beginning. When they were younger, whenever one of our sons or daughters got a new Lego set for a birthday or Christmas gift, they would immediately put it together, following the instructions so they could replicate the picture on the box, page by page, step by step, piece by piece. The results of their work would sit on a desk or a bedside table for a few days, but the real fun came later. On lazy Saturdays, they would dump out a bin filled with different Lego pieces, a hodgepodge of shapes and colors from who knows how many different sets, and just build, connecting pieces as thoughts and ideas came to their minds. A spaceship here, a fort there, a fairy garden, an all-terrain rover that could handle carpet, hardwood, and the vertical climb up the side of the couch. There was no limit to what they could build, no rules to follow. They would just create, using the pieces available to make something new. Whenever we would sit on the floor and build alongside our children, we were reminded of when we used to spend hours doing the same thing as kids. Some of our first memories as friends are of warm summer days when we would spread out a blanket on the grass in the front yard, dump out a bin of miscellaneous Lego bricks, and go to work. We must have been 4 or 5. There we sat, using whatever pieces were available to make something new. Anytime we heard the word creativity, it's easy to think of paintings, drawings, music, or literature. But the word comes from the Latin term creo, which simply means to create or make. Not creating a painting, illustrating a drawing, composing music, or writing a book, just create or make. While the vast majority of individuals don't find themselves in careers where they create art, write books, or compose music, Everyone is capable of so much creativity. However, most of us lose sight of it as we grow older, and as a result, we miss out on a lot of the beauty that exists around us until we see the world through the eyes of our children. Several years ago, we heard a talk given on the power of creativity and the wonder of this gift that God has given each person. The speaker stood on the stage at the front of a large church. Off to his side sat a huge pile of Legos, tens of thousands of pieces in every possible shape and color. At the beginning of his talk, the speaker invited all the kids in the crowd to join him on stage and play with the Legos. A host of young boys and girls built as thoughts formed and ideas evolved. And while their imaginations came to life, the man spoke about the creativity that each of us is born with, the image of God we are created in, and the propensity of each man and woman to lose touch with this gift. Periodically, he would pause, approach one of the children on stage, and ask them to tell him about their creations. The answers included spaceships, trees, a dog, houses, and race cars. Eventually, some of the boys and girls took apart their work and began making something different. Others added onto what they had already built. As time passed, most of the creations changed, evolving into something that previously had not existed. When the man asked one child what he was doing, as the boy added new pieces, the boy said, "I found some new shapes. I want to see what they can make." The speaker compared the wonder and creativity of a child to our potential as adults to take what life gives us, our experiences, the good and the bad, and make something beautiful. Our moments of love, grace, mercy, and forgiveness combine with our trauma, pain, and regrets to make the pieces of our lives. So again, all moments, good or bad, make the pieces of our lives. Sometimes we have to take the pieces apart and rebuild. Other times, we need to add new pieces to make something better. We can put the pieces together so that only the dark parts show, or we can choose to let others see the beauty of our lives, the light and love shining through the pain. In his book, It Was on Fire When I Lay Down on It, Robert Fulghum, F-U-L-G-H-U-M, or Robert Fulghum, tells a story from the Second World War. German paratroopers invaded the island of Crete. When they landed on the shores of the village of Malim, the islanders met them, armed with nothing but simple farm tools. The outcome was catastrophic. Men, women, and children from the local villages were lined up and shot because of their resistance. Entire families wiped out in a few short seconds. Today, the Malin airstrip rests below an institute for peace and understanding. This institute was started by a man named Alexander Papaderos. Papaderos was just 6 years old when World War II started. During the invasion of Crete, his home village was decimated, and he, along with many other villagers, was imprisoned in a Nazi concentration camp. At the end of the war, Papaderos was filled with a longing for his people to let go of the hatred the war had left in its wake. To help the process, he built his institute where so much pain and destruction had been inflicted on his people. Years later, Papaderos stood at the front of a lecture taking questions at the close of one of his talks. Fulgham raised his hand and called out, "What is the meaning of life?" The room was filled with nervous laughter and wide eyes. Such a weighty question, with so many possible answers. Holding up his hand for quiet, Papaderos said, "I will answer your question." Quietly, Papaderos retrieved his wallet and removed a piece of glass. Wordlessly, he stared at the small, rounded mirror in his hand. Taking a breath, he raised his eyes from the mirror to the glass and held it up for everyone to see. Then Papaderos answered the question with a story. "When I was a small child, during the war, we were very poor and we lived in a remote village. One day on the road, I found the broken pieces of a mirror. A German motorcycle had been wrecked in that place. I tried to find all the pieces and put them together, but it was not possible. So I kept only the largest piece, this one. And by scratching it on a stone, I made it round. I began to play with it as a toy and became fascinated by the fact that I could reflect light into dark places where the sun would never shine. In deep holes and crevices and dark closets. It became a game for me to get light into the most inaccessible places I could find. I kept the little mirror, and as I went about my growing up, I would take it out in idle moments and continue the challenge of the game. As I became a man, I grew to understand that this was not just a child's game, but a metaphor for what I might do with my life. I came to understand that I am not the light or the source of light, but light, truth, understanding, knowledge is there, and it will only shine in many dark places if I reflect it. I am a fragment of a mirror whose whole design and shape I do not know. Nevertheless, with what I have, I can reflect light into dark places of this world, into the black places in the hearts of men, and change some things in some people. Perhaps others may see and do likewise. This is what I'm about. This is the meaning of my life." Alexander Papaderos could have hated those who persecuted him. He could have let the horrors of war darken his heart. He had watched as his friends and neighbors were murdered in the streets of his hometown. Then he was carried away to a concentration camp where he saw the same things happen again. He had every earthly reason to hate those who turned his world upside down. But this man's life is summed up in 11 simple words. I can reflect light into the dark places of this world. We don't know what was going through young Papaderos' mind as he took a shattered piece of a mirror and fashioned it into a cherished keepsake. But we do know that he took what was broken and made something new. His creativity as a child helped shape his future, and that homemade toy was the beginning of Alexander Papaderos's path of forgiveness. He was able to take the painful pieces he had been given and create a life of purpose, a life filled with love. So many of the pieces we need to make a new life rest in forgiveness, grace, mercy, and love. Purposeful love, intentional love, love that comes to life through actively loving others. Papaderos understood his purpose. He recognized that the best way he could actively show love to the God he believed in was through loving others. Living and loving well often means we have to make something new, create a new perspective, finding a new understanding, embrace a new paradigm of love as we are drawn deeper into what it means to reflect God's life into the lives of others. Embracing a life worth living means embracing forgiveness and loving as God loves. This means letting go of our anger and bitterness, pursuing others as God has pursued us. This should be the heartbeat of every human, the heartbeat of every church. But for this to happen, each of us has to be willing to make a new life, pursue a different understanding of compassion, and live by a new standard of what it means to love God. Loving God is loving all of his children, not just the ones we want to love. Loving God is loving those who think differently than we do. Loving God is loving those who live differently than we do. Loving God is loving those who worship differently than we do. Loving God is loving those who believe differently than we do. Loving God is loving others even if they don't want to be loved. Within this kind of love is a newness we are invited into. It is the outcome of divine creativity. All the pieces of life we have been given can be put together, reworked, and utilized so that we can make something new with our pieces. A life that loves, like Papaderos. We are all fragments of a mirror whose whole design and shape we do not know. Nevertheless, with what we have, we can reflect light into the dark places of this world, into the black places in the hearts of men, and change some things in some people. Perhaps others may see and do likewise. Perhaps others will pick up the pieces they have been given and make something new. This is what we are about. This is the meaning of our lives. Are you ready? Spread out your blanket, dump out the pieces of your life, pick them up one by one, examine them, take in all the colors, and ask yourself, what can I use this for? Put your pieces together in a new way. Let God's love flow through you as you create a life worth living. It's never too late to make something new. All right, and that concludes chapter 17 and the final chapter of the book. And then I think to finish up here, I want to read these acknowledgments again. These are from Patrick and Justin here. Yep. So many people go into making a book possible. Very special thank you to Angela Sheff and Christopher Farabee for taking us on at your agency and for believing in us. Angela, we can't thank you enough for the guidance and encouragement and all the phone calls that help us keep going. To the Tyndale team, you continue to amaze us with your ideas and work ethic. We are blessed to be part of your team. Compassion International, thank you for partnering with us on this journey. At MNOP, you are an amazing group of men and women who teach us so much. Thank you for the love you so freely give, the long talks about the things that matter, and so much laughter over good food and good wine. You are our church. Yep, Seth Haynes, you are a gifted man. Thank you for sharing your God-given talents with us. Yep, Jim Souza, Jerry McConnell, and Rick Daniels, thank you for sharing your stories and for introducing us to some incredible people who have helped shape who you each have become. Their stories are now a part of ours, and we are better for it. And to those whose names have been changed or who offered stories anonymously, we are grateful for the lessons you have taught us. Yes, and thank you to all these people who are willing to share their stories to really teach us valuable lessons there. This book is about those who leave imprints on others. We both can point to many men who have done so for us. To our boys, friends, new and old, we thank you. That Brian Snyder, Greg Sanner, and Chris Scott, you have made so much of our childhoods worth remembering. Love you guys. Yep, Michael Turner, Andy Hampton, Tim Bryant, Dave Cluxdale, Brian Martin, Randy Green, Ted Hardy, you are our tribe, and thank you for walking in life with us. Yeah. All right. I'll spare those acknowledge. I know. I like seeing all the acknowledgments here too. But yeah, that's the end of the book here. And again, love the message that's in that final chapter as well. Yeah, we're all fragments of a mirror whose whole design and shape we don't know. Yeah, we have pieces of our life that we can, good and bad, that can help us shape and mold our lives and become whole. We can become whole people and better people. We become whole and for the better. And so I love that, and really love that. I don't know, I feel like there's so much more I want to say about it, but it's just really, the book really speaks for itself. And again, this is a highly, highly recommended book because it really can teach you a lot about, you can really apply these to your own life, and it will help make your life so much better and easier, I think. And I'm trying to do that myself. There's so much of this I could apply in my own life as well. So, anyways, thank you, Rappies, very much. Hope you guys have enjoyed this book. Yeah. And then I think I have an idea for the next book I'll be reading. It's actually another book that I got because there was another person who went and spoke at Bethel, and I got that book there too. So I have to get it real quick. All right, so yeah. I think this is the next book I'm going to read, and this is another one that I think really applies to today. This book, it's called Make a Move by Stephanie Williams O'Brien. And this is Make a Move, How to Stop Wavering and Make Decisions in a Disorienting World. And again, I think there's going to be a lot of good advice and lessons to be taught in this book too, I can already tell. And again, not trying to judge a book by its cover, but not literally judge a book by its cover, but but you can just by the title though, it's like I can tell it's definitely gonna have some powerful messages in it as well. So yeah, we'll stay tuned for that one. I'll probably start this one next week. Hope you guys are still enjoying the reading videos. I really enjoyed doing them too. And it does feel good to be a vessel for this, to really spread those positive messages, because I feel like we need that. We need those reminders now more than ever. So, all right. Well, thank you, Rappies, very much. Love you all to death, and God bless. And until next time when we start the new book, I'll see you later. All right. Bye.